Okay.
Hello, Eric Eisenhut here, and welcome to another episode of our GK Icon Coaches panel discussions. With us today, we have GK Icon Pittsburgh coach Mark Duffield. Coach Duffield is the head coach of the Penn State New Kensington men's soccer program. He's also the goalkeeper coach for the Pittsburg Hotspurs in our NPSL. He is also the director of goalkeeping with a local club here in Pittsburgh. Also with us today, we are very pleased and humbled to have Lisa Cole with us today. Lisa is the head coach of the Antigua and Barbuda women's national team. She's the head of the women's soccer development at Antigua and Barbuda Football Association. Within the United Soccer Coaches Association, she's the director of goalkeeping and also on the national staff. She's also had stints in the professional leagues here in the United States with the Houston Dash, the Washington Spirit, Boston Breakers, and add to that loads of international and national goalkeeper coaching experiences. Everybody, welcome. Lisa, thanks for joining Mark and I today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mark, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Let's jump right into it. Lisa, you're a former scout with the Washington Spirit. Can you tell us some of the characteristics you look for in younger goalkeepers?
Yeah, I think when you're talking about younger goalkeepers, you really need to look at things that are maybe not what jumps to people's minds right away. I think we go to technique first and we go, okay, can they handle the ball? Can they catch a ball? And really when I'm looking at young goalkeepers, I'm looking at bravery. Are they brave? Do they have a capacity to learn? Are they athletic? Are they able to move in goal properly? Because I really think at the youngest age groups, if we put them in the right positions and they're able to hold their ground and be brave in that moment, they're going to make a lot of saves even though they don't catch the ball. So I think technique is something that is learned throughout the experience and not necessarily the first thing in younger goalkeepers I look for. Are they willing, when the ball's out there and it's a 50-50 ball, are they willing to go and get it? Are they willing to put their face out there? Maybe get hit a little bit. So those are things I think you can't teach. And then leadership is such a key thing in goalkeeping. So are they someone that takes kind of control of the game are really important things for young goalkeepers to have.
Mark, what would you elaborate or add to that?
No, I definitely agree. I think the mindset's a massive one. Like you said, like you can see from a young age that the keeper's ready to go out there and go challenging for a ball. It takes a special person to want to go in goal. So I definitely believe mindset and bravery is an important aspect of the goalkeeping. And like Lisa alluded to there as well, the leadership qualities. I think, I've always said like you got to have some sort of on-field persona. So I think you can see from a young age if they're leaders back there, because obviously the goalies can see everything. So you want to kind of have that leadership within you.
Let's dive deep into the bravery and leadership component, because to me, those are things that you have and can be taught, but there is an innate characteristic, I believe, that some young goalkeepers do have. So how would you, Lisa, I'm going to push this at you if I may. How would you teach bravery or how would you teach leadership? I know they're two separate entities. Let's start with bravery first. How would you teach bravery with your younger goalkeepers?
Yeah, well, I think you have to put them in situations where they can find success. And I think where they can be brave without getting injured. So if we put them right into 1v1 situations and every time they're going to get hammered, we're in trouble. But if we can put them in situations where they come and they win the ball and maybe the coach gets a little poke to it, but you just hit it into them and they make the save, it becomes less fearful for them to get in that. Or when they make a big save, when they stand up big and, they're in that moment of like almost going to tears, you just praise them and yeah, good stuff. And that sting will go away. And so I think for me, it's just putting them in those situations where you're not smashing the ball at them, but you're putting them in good situations where they're making that block save and the ball is coming at them. And yeah, it maybe stings a little bit, but not quite as much as the praise that comes after that big save. So I think that's a little bit of it, is putting them in situations where they can find success is really important in that bravery sense.
Lisa, would you advise for goalkeeper coaches out there, different types of balls, for instance, say volleyball, something that might not sting at first?
You may use some of those things. I've used indoor balls when I've taught some techniques and stuff, just be that point blank save, just because, those old indoor balls that like tennis balls. I've used those kind of before, and I've used futsalls because they come off a little bit different. But yeah, I think anything that takes away some of the sting out of that first big save, and don't do it over and over again. I think I see goalkeeper coaches out there and they ask them to do, okay, here, breakaway save, up for point blank save, up for this, up for that. And if I'm constantly doing that, human nature, if something's coming at me, human nature is to back up, right? That's like it's a survival instinct that's in human beings. So if we over train something, if we go into this place where we put too many reps in there, they're automatically going to start to fall back. So know when that is, okay? So I'm going to make a couple good saves, and then I have a big save. And I have a couple easy saves, and then I have a big save. So I can be big in that moment, but don't overtrain it or have too many reps in it.
Mark, Lisa mentioned futsal and the act of bravery, and there seems to be a lot of those types of moments in the futsal game. Are you a supporter of futsal? What's your take on combining the bravery aspect with playing futsal?
Yeah, I will step back first. I also think for us as coaches, it's very important that we give the correct technique when we're coaching kids, because I see so many times, especially in the recreation side of things, where to our bravery and coming out 1v1s, goalies are coming out of their legs, like leg first. And also when they're coming down for a 50-50 ball, they're going down there with their head, basically saying, just come and smack me in the face. So I think it's very, very important for us coaches that when we are doing 1v1s and the bravery stuff, that we are giving our goalkeepers the correct tools to go out there and obviously never don't go with your legs, really want to lead with your hands, have your head in a good position, but you're not going to put your head first and go right down there, because I've seen it so many times where a keeper gets hit right in the face and they never want to come back again. So it's very, very important that we give them the correct technique. Regarding futsal, I'm a big fan. I like futsal. I played, indoor football when I was in England. I loved it for the reaction stuff, and it is good for bravery because you're always out, your arms are everywhere. And I'm definitely a proponent of it for my goalkeepers to play futsal. I definitely think there's transitional moments between futsal and real soccer that can work for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, and you mentioned technique. Both you mentioned technique and proper technique, especially with the way some of these futsal saves are now becoming reality in the outdoor game, whether it's the block save, K save, things of that nature. So you're also seeing a transition in that regard. Mark, I want to stay with you. Regarding leadership, how do you go about developing leadership with your younger goalkeepers?
Leadership is also one thing that sometimes comes within. I always say, sometimes you've got to be like some sort of actor as well sometimes, because it's like me personally off the field, I am quite quiet, shy sort of guy. Whenever I go on the field, I kind of have that different sort of persona, and I try and install that in goalkeepers. Like, guys, you got to be somewhat of an actor as well sometimes. When you go on that field, you've got to have your goalkeeping persona. You've got to be a leader back there. And also you can do it with activities as well. I know Eric, myself, and you did some leadership type talking activities for goalkeepers that involve them talking to other goalkeepers when they couldn't see what was going on. And I found that to be a great tool for the kids. But a lot of the time it does come within, and it's kind of us trying to build the kids up and sometimes give them that confidence to kind of be that different persona.
Lisa, regarding leadership and scouting in particular, at what age do you believe a goalkeeper should begin to show traits of leadership on the field?
Yeah, well, for me, I think one, goalkeeping should be a position that's rotated until kids are at least 14. I really believe that around 14, 15 is when you become a full-time goalkeeper. And even then, I think there's value in them finding time on the field or splitting games with another goalkeeper, things like that. Because at the end of the day, right now, the best goalkeepers in the world are they're good soccer players. And so if we take that time away from them, then they won't be as good in the position as we need them to be. So I think that's important, that we realize that goalkeepers will be a little bit behind in the track, because you'll start being a full-time goalkeeper later in your career than you will be with something else. So just for me, I think around 15, 16, 17, you should start to see those things. But if I've done a good job in my club, or I've done a good job with my goalkeeping training, when they step in goal, they should, like Mark was saying, they should be a persona. Okay, I have the gloves on. As soon as the gloves come on, there's a different personality that comes out. I'm now the coach on the field. I've got to lead from behind. And so right away when they get in that position, even when I'm working with my younger kids in 7v7, we say, okay, as soon as your gloves go on and you get in goal, first thing I want you to do is push up your defense. First thing I want you to do is pull back your defense, whatever situation in the game it is. So right away they hear their voice is really important. And I think field player coaches and goalkeeper coaches have to teach goalkeepers to lead in team environments. It's very important.
I love that because it also instills a confidence in their goalkeepers that when they do say something, they have the support of their coaching staff, the field player coach and the goalkeeper coach, to be vocal and to tell people, to command what to do on the field. And I feel that sometimes if that blessing's not given in the public team setting, goalkeepers will struggle with those first couple of commands. Lisa, you mentioned physical characteristics. Is there a size or a strength that you're looking for? And if no, when do you start looking for those physical characteristics in a goalkeeper?
I mean, I think there's things that are obviously ideal. Like for me, I think I would never have been a goalkeeper in today's world. I lucked out in the rule change. I'm showing my age right now, but you went from being not able to pick the ball up with your hands and then being able to pick it up with your hands. Well, I played on the field and I played in goal. So all of a sudden went from an average goalkeeper to a great goalkeeper because I could also play with my feet. And everybody that was tall and had just been big blocks savers and had been going that route wasn't ideal anymore because they couldn't play with their feet. They couldn't take a pass. So in an ideal world, you have somebody that's tall, somebody that can cover, that's and all those things. But for me, if you're tall and you can't judge the ball, then what advantage do you have? So for me, it's looking at putting everything together. And I've watched Adelaide Gay, who's played professionally, Michelle Betos, who came to Boston with us for a while, and we were part of her development. Is now professional in Seattle. Like, I just feel like I don't like to put constraints on players. I just tell them, okay, because of these physical traits, this journey might be a little easier, a little bit harder for you. Just like being a short goalkeeper is going to mean I'm probably a little bit quicker. Being a tall goalkeeper is going to mean I have some deficiencies getting down to my feet, right? So you're going to have strengths and weaknesses regardless. And then how do you make sure that those special qualities really stand out in your goalkeepers? And then how do you eliminate or, put to the side some of their weaknesses? And if you're good at reading the game, then maybe being tall isn't a requirement. But obviously being both has some advantages in your development.
Mark, regarding, Lisa mentioned foot skills in regards to, the 11th player on the field. How important is that when you're looking to identify talent?
Oh, I mean, that's huge. I mean, like Lisa said, I think the goalkeeping positions evolve so much. I mean, when I first started to watch, and I'm dating myself too, the first goalies I watched used to be able to get the ball back to them and they could pick it up. I remember watching my first thing is like Denmark 92 when they won the Euro Championships. They'll just keep knocking the ball back to Schmeichel. He'd pick it up and they go again. Now, back then, goalies didn't have to be so good with their feet. Fast forward to where we are now in 2020, and we're thinking, on the men's side, Ederson, Alisson, obviously Manuel Neuer was one of the first guys as well. And their big thing is why they and talk about the England goalkeeper, Pickford. I don't know why, Pickford, he got picked for England in the last one was because Gareth Southgate likes to play out from the back, and he was the best one of using his feet. I mean, it's a huge advantage now. Like I said, the way the modern game has gone now, goalkeepers have to be good at their feet. That's why I always, like Lisa said earlier on, I always encourage goalies to be out on the field, join in with their team because it's a huge part of the game. I think gone are the days now. I'm 6'4", but gone are the days where you have to be that cookie cutter 6'4" to be any sort of goalkeeper. I think the way the outfield game's changing now, it's not so much about long balls over the top. Teams are a lot more creative now. So if you have a goalkeeper that may be a little bit smaller, more agile, that can read the play, I think they can be super successful over a 6'4" giant like me.
Lisa, regarding foot skills, how often do you recommend goalkeeper coaches train foot skills in their training sessions?
I think it should be a part of every training session. I think it should be something that's included in your warm-up. I think it should be something that's included When a save's made, maybe there's distribution with their feet, but I think it should be a part of every session.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know, Mark, when we work together, we make that apparent. We start with sometimes with 3-on-3, just knocking the ball around, keep away games just to get them acclimated to that. And I feel that that's something that's continuing in that direction. That's never going to go away, I don't believe. But I think the more goalkeeper coaches can add that and stress the importance, I think it's going to be good for the game as well as for the development of those younger players. Mark, let's talk about it.
Yeah, sorry. If you think about it, that or 80-something% of what they do is with their feet. So if in your training session you don't replicate what they're going to be asked to do in the game, then I don't know what we're doing, So that's really important to me.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned training for a game environment, and that's to 80%. That's the rule right there that I've heard too. So I like that. Mark,
centre-backs have to, centre-backs, full-backs, whoever, have to have confidence in playing back to the goalkeeper, in all different situations. So like I said, you've got, it's every game, so many times the ball gets played to the goalkeeper now, so they've got to be comfortable using their left and their right and be able to put under pressure and put in all those situations.
When scouting, I'm going to ask you guys to prioritize what you're looking for now in order. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Lisa, more technical or more innate movements, meaning being brave? Which one would you prefer if you had to choose one or the other?
I think I would go, and this will be against what we see out there today, is that I would go with bravery. I think I can spend time and develop technique, but I look at Brianna Scurry, who's one of the best for the women, and Hope Solo was very technical, but you look at what she was able to do with her athleticism. And I think even with Alyssa, she's a little bit less technical in some ways, but finds a way to make big saves. And her distribution has been key for the U.S. national team, is why she's been probably a starter, and a little bit of her consistency. So for me, I can train technique. I can help you be better at catching the ball. I can help you be better at scooping the ball. I can help you with those things. But if you're not willing to stand up there and take a shot, or you're ducking back into goal, that's a little bit harder to train, I think.
Mark, technique versus bravery.
Well, I was going to say, like, for me, some of the best goalkeepers are the ones that don't make the most saves, as in the sense of they're the ones that organize their team, but they're also the ones. Bravery can be one. Bravery is either coming out for a 1v1, or bravery is also knowing when to come out and making those big decisions to clear the ball. So for me, sometimes some of the best goalies are the ones that sweep up stuff before it's even happened. So I would go by what Lisa says as well, I think.
Mark, I'm going to stay with you, put you on the spot for another one, but you alluded to it, and I want to continue with that. I love where you're going with it. Athletic versus leader. Which one are you looking for?
I'll go back and say I can train someone to use their body to the best ability, but leadership comes within. And I would personally like a leader back there. I was always a leader back in goal, and I feel like having a leader back there can stop certain situations. Now, for me as a goalkeeper, I'm trying to shore up the back line. So the only shots that sort of come at me is maybe ones from far away, and I go, cheers, thanks very much. So I would like a leader back there.
Lisa, athletic versus leadership.
Yeah, I think that's tough. I think if you're talking about the highest levels of the game, if I'm looking for the national team or something like that, I'm going to go, they have to be athletic, and but if they don't have those leadership qualities, then they're not going to make it either. So one's going to eliminate the other. I think in that case, so I could be a great leader and have all these qualities, but if I'm not athletic enough, I'm not going to quite get there. Same thing, I could be a great leader or a great athlete, but have no leadership school. And I've seen that happen. I've seen tons of potential in a kid, and they just aren't able to organize or prevent shots. So they're getting peppered all the time, and you're like, wait a second, what's happening here? Well, there's no leadership happening. There's no organization happening. So I think they kind of eliminate each other. If you don't have one, then you're gonna not find success eventually down the road, because you need both.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I know I put you on the spot there, and you took the PC going back and forth on that. I like the way you did that. Lisa, I want to start. I'm going to go back.
That's why she's the best.
Yeah. Lisa, I want to go back to you with this one. We made reference to it. I'm not going to go to Mark with this until after you answer, but the undersized goalkeeper, what's your advice for them when it comes to being scouted and looked at? What do you think, how should they go about getting in front of coaches and also trying to get in the spotlight a little bit despite the lack of size?
Well, they always say there's like your basketball height and then there's your actual height, right? So on your resume, maybe cheat a little bit there. I'm 5'6" or 5'7", I think, on my basketball roster. No, I think for me, I think it's to just weigh what makes you special. I say this to all players that are looking to get recruited. I've been doing a lot of those calls lately, and that is to say, what are your strengths and really accentuate those things. Like I solve problems, look at my leadership within the team. So you're going to have to find a way for coaches to see that in you, to show up at a field and see that you problem solving, to see that you're able to eliminate some of those issues. And be good with your feet, be good with the things that you can control, your distribution, your ability to read the game and those type of things. Because right away, people are going to look at you and go, I'm not sure. And then you have to sell them on you. And it's like players that are steady, right? There's flashy players and then there's steady players. I think steady players have a harder time getting noticed, even though as coaches, once we have you on our team, who do we depend on the most? We depend on the players that are steady. We like our flashy players. They're great, but they're up and down. So who we count on day in and day out are those steady players. So for me, I think they have to really just consistently be on top of their game, no big blunders. And yeah, somebody will believe in them and then take opportunities. Like Michelle Betos is a perfect example. I mean, when she came into the Boston Breakers, we sat down with her and said, here's what we see are limitations for you. In order for you to be a pro, you're going to have to be able to do these things. And she got that you currently can't do. And it's going to be a long journey. So decide. And then she decided, she's like, I want to make this happen. And she was out getting the balls after practice. She's knocking on the shed. Can you meet me to get the balls? Work on our kicking game. And now she has a great kicking game and she's reaped the rewards of that. So everybody has limitations. So just recognize it and address it.
Yeah. Mark, in our situations where we coach together, we have a lot of diversity in size. We'll go with the younger academy levels. You're getting into different size. I'm talking a foot difference, and even more so, or there's a little bit of catch up when they get to the 14, 15, 16-year-olds, and kids are now in these ID tournaments. What's your advice for the undersized goalkeeper in those situations when they're at these tournaments and you have two goalkeepers on the same team, each splitting time, but the size is immensely different? We're talking a foot in difference. What do you say to your undersized goalkeeper in that situation?
So first, I will go to a story where I never forget when I was at a camp one time as a coach, and there's this one goalkeeper, like he was like 6'4", 6'5", looked like that guy from Rocky, the Russian guy. I can't remember his name now, but like literally he never did anything. And this coach from nowhere was like, "Who's this kid? I want to sign him for my high school." It was a private high school, and they go, "I want to sign him. I want to offer him like a tuition." I was like, "You've not even seen this lad play." He's like, just purely because he was 6'4", the coach was all over this kid. On the same camp, there was a guy that Eric, really well. I don't want to say the names, but he's a goalie and he's just a lot smaller. He was so much better, but straight away, this guy, before he even started playing, he's gone for this tall. He just literally saw this taller lad and wanted him straight away. What I would say to the quote unquote undersized guys is that's where you really have to develop a personality and really play. I would say you have to play with a chip on your shoulder. Maybe you have to puff your chest out like a peacock and let everyone know you're there and show so much confidence and really make sure that your game is top. Like your footwork is fantastic, your handling's fantastic. Just really, really, make sure your trades are good. Make sure that sort of stuff's good. Obviously, you can't affect your height and all that sort of stuff. But I do believe a goalkeeper can be effective on a male side under 6 foot if they're trained properly and they're willing to put the work in. They've got the correct mindset. They can be positive.
Nice. Last topic. I'm gonna change it a little bit, taking it off the field, taking it off from the innate abilities and from the technical perspective. College, Mark. I'm gonna start with you with this. From a Background check perspective. Do you look at people's social media sites?
That is huge.
Why?
Because you're not just recruiting a player, you're recruiting a person. Do you know what I mean as well? And I don't think people understand that when they're trying to recruit people for college, a lot of people, it's their livelihood as well. They want to make sure they've not just got a good player, but they've got the right person as well. And you've got to make sure that your social media in some way should be your resume or your CV sometimes. It should reflect who you are. And you've got to make sure what you put on there is, would I want my mum and dad to see that or something like that? Do you know what I mean? And I think from a college perspective, so many college coaches now look at their social media and they want to see the person behind their goalkeeper or whatever position they are. So my thing for players is to make sure they're really think long and hard before everything they post. It may be on there for 24 hours, but the internet, it could be on there for a lifetime.
Lisa, social media, do you check out potential players' social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, before making that final decision on a player?
Yeah, always. And we talk to coaches, we talk to teammates, we talk to people in and around those players, because I want to be dealing with a good player, right? That's part of it, right? But I need a good person in there. Need someone that's going to work with my team, and I need someone that's going to be able to be a part of the culture we're building. And that, for me, if you post stuff on social media and you put it out there, you're saying this is who I am, right? You're acting in. No one's putting yourself saying, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that. You're saying, okay, here's who I am. And you post on social media. And that's how I think about it. It's like, how do I want people to see me? And I want people to see me in a professional way. So that's how I think players should think about that.
Yeah, I agree. We're recruiting the person. I'm a big fan of what drives people from good to great. And I think a lot of it has to do with life lessons. A lot of things we teach on the field, whether it's being brave, coachability, being a leader. These are things that you can take from off the field and go into a classroom, go into a relationship, go into a job with a boss or a group that you're now leading. And I find that those life lessons are invaluable when looking at the person. And social media is a part of it. That's who they are, and that's who's going to represent your team in the public eye. Is that what you want from an individual standpoint when someone's looking up your players or going on the social media sites, looking at your players? Is that a true representation of your program? And I think that's an important question for coaches to ask when recruiting and looking at people to identify. Last words, guys. We're running low on time. So, Mark, I'm going to start with you if I can. I want you to wrap it up and give me a couple of the essentials you look for when identifying talent.
So from a college perspective, would say I look for a good player, but an even better person. So just make sure for everyone, when dealing with your social media, make sure you're very thoughtful. And like Lisa said, how do you want people to perceive you as? And also for me personally, I like to have a good leader, and I want what I would call like a modern goalkeeper, which is someone who's really, really good with their, agility wise, and also very, very good with their feet. From a leadership standpoint, can you stop things happening before they get to you by being a good leader?
I love that last line right there. Lisa, anything you want to add, as well as time, if you can wrap it up as well with your final thoughts on identifying talent?
Yeah, for me, it's really about being a complete player, right? And knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and then making sure that those things stand out. And for me, I think Mark's spot on. I think for me, I don't want a goalkeeper that's diving all over the place. I want a goalkeeper that's solving problems early on in the game, and that they make kind of goalkeeping look boring and easy because of how they play the game. And then when there's a breakdown every once in a while, they have in their back pocket the ability to make that save.
That's awesome. And I will add one thing to that too, is when goalkeepers are at these tournaments, take your warm-up seriously. I can't stress that enough, because that's when you're going to show off your technique to your goalkeeper coaches, as well as to the people who are looking at you and identifying you. And if you put in a sad warm-up, that's going to have a dramatic impact on what they think of you, because when you're in the game, the scouts are now looking at how are you acting? How are you staying connected to your back line? Are you solving those problems before they arrive? And that leadership skill is a big one. But the technical piece, the warm-up, is so important. I can't stress that personally enough. Well, Mark, thank you very much as always. Lisa, an absolute honor and humbled to have you on this. Thank you so much for your time today. Hope all is well with both of you. Thank you for everyone else, and we'll see you at a future podcast. Thank you.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
thanks, guys. Good to see you.